Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to Tuesday edition of our show. Let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Neville Good.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. I'm looking forward to the discussion today, CK. What have you got on our tablet today? What's news?
We would like to discuss about the release of Indian budget in a completely digital manner this time on 1st of February. But before we start our discussion, let me give you a small story. As you know, Nebul, that the India got independence from UK in 1947. But before that, there were a lot of governance which was already established in our country, and there were rule of law, etc. There are a lot of governance which was already there. Um, so, as part of the governance which was established during the Raj, there was a budget session already in place. The only difference was the viceroy, the ruler of India, was reporting to the Queen. And in those days, the budget used to be allocated. It's just like any other CEO allocating a region's budget. So it was something like that, where the viceroy, as a regional head, will go out to the Queen and say, "Hey, I need this kind of money for this year to run this colony of mine." So the Queen will allocate that budget, and that's it. That's the end of the story. However, the railways were also established by British in India, and it was a big thing. For your information, I just want to give you one more bit of information: is that the Indian Railways today is the largest employer in the world, employing 2.5 million people as
Wow.
employees.
Wow. Wow. Whenever I see Indian Railway, all I imagine is people sitting on top of the railway, you know, with their tiffin cases and, and the goats and
Right.
animals.
Yeah, that is the image during the Raj period, because in those days the emphasis of railways was to serve the Raj, and the British had established the railroad to have better governance on their subjects. So the rail was adequate for ensuring that the British was able to move their goods and their troops adequately across India. But we have come a long way. But we don't want to talk about that. But
No,
the
no,
whole
no,
point
no.
was the whole point was that the budget was a separate budget for Indian Railways, because like any other leader would do in any company, they will try to confuse their bosses. So probably that was going on in those days. There was a budget for India, and there was a budget separately for
Indian
it.
Railways. Okay.
And ironically, after we got independence, we continued the same way for last 65 years.
65 years? Exactly the same way.
Exactly the same way. We used to have two budgets. One was an Indian budget, and then Indian Railways budget.
Okay. Okay. But it's changed. It has changed now, hasn't it?
It has changed now, and there was one more caveat to this whole story, and that is that the budget used to be announced at 5 p.m. in India in the Parliament. Uh, that was we copied it from the British Raj time, because the viceroy had to synchronize his watches with the Queen, and he didn't want to wake up the Queen in the early morning. So they said, okay, fine, we will change our time at 5 p.m. so that the Queen can see the budget being released at her 10 a.m.
And it happened. It's continued for 65 years, despite the fact the British haven't. India's been an independent republic all that time.
This is the funny part, Neville, because there was no need to continue. First of all, there was no need to have separate budgets, Indian Railways and Indian budget, because we were not reporting to anyone. We were reporting to ourselves. So we should have, if it was a governance issue, we could have waited for 10 years to merge them together, but we should have done it much earlier. But finally, in 2014, when the Modi government came to power, they challenged the whole modus operandi around this, and they merged the Indian Railways budget with the Indian budget. So now we have only one budget, and that is announced at 10 a.m. instead of 5 p.m.
It just makes so much sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's a classic of if it's not bust, don't fix it. But one of the things we talk about, you and I talk about, is good leadership. And good leadership really is to challenge the status quo. Why are we doing this? What is it? Just historical? Is it hysterical, as in this particular issue, to allow it to go on for 65 years? As you say, it was your budget and you're reporting to yourself. So you've got to wonder why people just kept on with the same old ways. And this is where I think a lot of people are today. They're they're waiting for the pre-COVID time to return. I've got news for everybody. It's not coming back. Things have moved on far too much in every sector. You've, you've only got to pick one sector like retail, and the digital transformation over the last year has brought forward the change 5 years. Because certainly people in the West that are into digital anyway, they've accelerated their online programs at an unprecedented rate, almost as fast actually as people creating the new vaccine. That is the catastrophic change that's happened in retail. But the question is, has it happened in your industry? Or are you still stuck creating two budgets, delivering it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because we don't want to disturb the Queen, do we? We need to make sure the Queen's up and ready and had a cup of tea. Times change, everybody. Let's get with it. Let's move on. And now you're saying, this is big news. Okay, so we're now going to move it forward to the 21st century properly. You were telling me earlier that this is the first budget that's going to be digitally presented, all going to be online. So, how much of a transformation is that for a government body? To me, it sounds massive. But how does it feel to you?
I think it's massive. Along with merging the two budgets and putting railway as part of the India budget, railways is merely a transportation. So they just added this entire railway department under the transportation, and hence now we have a better synchronized, centralized budget, and we can do a lot of savings when deciding for the next year. That is one thing which is huge, because if you look at the Indian Railways as the world's largest employer, one department employing 2.5 million people. And then there are others also. There are a lot of other departments like Electricity Board, which is also a huge outfit in India. Then there are Thermal Power Corporation, again a very big corporation in India. So like that, now we have one budget. So it's a big development. But this government has moved in a phased manner. They did something first, and then the next year they did some improvement and all that. So there is a progressive improvement in the way they are changing the things here. And this year is completely online budget, which is I think huge, considering the size of economy of $3 trillion. I think presenting the GDP of all the commodities of 40,000 and odd commodities, or maybe more, in an online manner. I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, Neville, but I'm assuming the work has been done for past few months to be able to present it on 1st of February.
Well, that's amazing, as you say. I mean, it's a huge, massive thing to be putting this budget online. And the nice thing about when you do go online, there's no hiding places. You can actually, if you look in a good annual report that the company's put online, a big blue chip company, large conglomerate, and they put their report online, you can actually click on something that's highlighted and it drills down into the next page and the next page and the next page. So to me it sounds brilliant. I mean, I think it's a real it's an emotional journey, I'm sure, for everybody, a huge transitional journey, and you've got to applaud a government that's actually moving into that online arena and being open and transparent. I mean, that's what we want from our governments around the world. It's sadly lacking, as we well know. But I look forward to the next move that comes out of the Indian government, because when you look at it in comparison, you've got nearly 4 times as many people in India that they have in America, in the United States. So, just imagine the budget that they have over there. I'm not quite sure it's online. I'm going to have to do some research on that, to be honest with you. I would hope it would be, being a dynamic and forward-thinking economy. But I've got my questions, I've got my doubts actually, and so we'll see on that one. So great news for everyone in India. I mean, how do you think people are receiving it? Are they saying wow, or are they saying about time, or are they saying I never even thought they had it in them? I mean, what type of emotions are going through the Indian community currently?
I think the emotion which is running in our mind is it's about time. We could have done it many years back. We are driving the IT revolution across the world, and why we were not employing the same technology in our own day-to-day business. So I think it's about time. That's the feeling. We could have done it earlier.
But the good news is they're now doing it. So the main thing is people are catching up. So the question is, what's next? I'm not too sure the answer to that question, but we can always look in and be in hope. Let's say, because without hope we got nothing. So
So as a progressive human being myself, I feel that in our huge country, we moved on election on an electronic way of doing election, and before this election system was in place, there were a lot of you can see the U.S. Scenario where two parties are blaming each other of foul play. So this same thing used to happen in India before 2002. Fortunately, we moved on to this system where you cannot hack into the system, you cannot you cannot steal it, your voter, your franchise. You cannot do anything with that. You can't destroy it, and the counting is super easy because you just plug the whole machine, EVM, electronic voting machine, into the server, and within an hour you will have the result. Earlier, it would take 5 days to count one constituency, and so many people will be employed to count it, and there could be a foul play there. So I think 1% certain percentage of we have done the problem solving. I'm saying that the next move for us should be to take the entire election online. There are two advantages. One is that there is a huge amount of encryption with biometrics in place, and we should use and have trust on the technology. That is number one. Number two, the participation of people can be increased, because right now the number of people who are walking up to the polling booth is about 60 to 70%, maximum 80%. So 20% are still not voting because they feel lazy or they don't feel enthusiastic enough. But if it is available on your mobile, you can just click your yes or no, or choose whatever you want to. It will make it a lot easier for the people, for the citizen of India to vote. So as an evangelist, I would say that the next big move for Indian government should be to bring the entire thing online, especially on the elections.
well, that would be an absolute massive move going forward. And just think of the consequences of having that digital connectivity with every single citizen in your country. You could actually get their opinion on, do you like what we're doing? You know, and even if they've got a really tough decision, they might even, not that I'm suggesting that anyone should do this, but they could even say, we got a really tough decision, we want your opinion. So you haven't got all of these Murray polls and Gallup polls and goodness knows what else polls that are out there that are they only take a subsection of the citizenship, and then they do the projection. And we all know what that happens, don't we? You take the wrong cohort and you project it forward, and you've got an even bigger wrong answer. So, but it sets the tone for the way businesses could be run too. I mean, in the West, we're always talking about making sure that we've got the right combination of people on the board. Whereas if you had this automatic democratic voting system up and down the organization and across the organization, you wouldn't necessarily need to have, you know, a big board. You could have quite a small board. So the knock-on effects to this are really quite huge. I mean, like you, I like to see the simplicity of this, and unfortunately, life in the digital ether world isn't as simple as perhaps we would like, because it's unfortunately it's lended itself to corruption over the years. But of course, corruption only comes because people have got corrupted minds and they like breaking things. So we need to think about that one too. But that's not for today. We need to celebrate the fact that India is going to put their first budget online, which is brilliant. They've actually come out of the days of the Raj, which is even better. I mean, I just find that absolutely hilarious. And it's a lesson we can all learn, frankly. Look in your own business. What are you doing currently that you've just been doing because you've been doing it? And is it still working? You know, if it's still working, you can tick the box, say, fantastic. Can I do more of that? Because it's working. And if it's not working, say, why are we doing this? And don't beat yourself up about it. You know, this is spring cleaning. You know, this is the start of a new year. We had Diwali just before the our Christmas break in the Christian calendar. So we're still in Diwali, really. There's still spring, really. We're still in that early arena of, you know, cleaning the clutter. So go and clean the clutter. The government's doing it, and we know how fast they are at doing things, pretty slow. So what about you doing it? It's an interesting discussion for a Tuesday. Hope that's helped somebody out there, CK. I'm sure someone's thinking, I'm going to look at my budget now. But look further. Don't just look at your budget. Look further into your organization. What do you do? Why do you do it? Can you do it any better? Fantastic discussion for a Tuesday, CK.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us today, Neville, for finding time. We will catch up with you again on something more interesting.
Well, that's pretty interesting to me. So we've got to go a long way to beat that one. Have a good day, everybody. Good luck for the rest of the week.
Bye bye.